Welcome back to the channel. You found Parenting Dyslexia 360, and I'm here trying to support parents of children with dyslexia and other learning differences. I'm Christine Patterson. As some of you may know by now, I am a pediatrician by day, and as part of my job as a pediatrician, I do evaluations for children with ADHD, or where parents are concerned their child has ADHD. And what I've noticed over the years is that many of the concerns parents come to me with that make them think their child might have ADHD may also well be signs of dyslexia. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. There are 5 common signs or observations that parents will bring to me in their concern about the possibility of ADHD that may in fact be a sign of dyslexia. So we'll go through those 5 things today. So the first common concern that parents bring or that teachers tell parents about that may be a sign of ADHD but could also be a sign of dyslexia is inability to remain focused on their work, particularly reading. So this may look like spacing out at times where they're supposed to be reading or working. It could be being super wiggly or talking at times where they're supposed to be reading. Or it could look like a kid who seems to be reading, but then at the end of the paragraph or the end of the page, they can't remember anything they read. The next set of observations that teachers or parents may have are related to working memory. So what is working memory? Working memory has to do with the fact that as you're doing a task, you have to hold things in your memory for a short amount of time in order to complete the tasks. So weak working memory can be a feature of both ADHD and dyslexia. So children with weak working memory may seem to forget what they're doing halfway through a task. They may also appear more disorganized or struggle with multi-step problems in school or multi-step instructions at home. Multi-step instructions like, please go upstairs, change into your pajamas, and then brush your teeth. And certainly that's a common feature of ADHD, but can also be present with dyslexia. A third feature that can be present with both ADHD and dyslexia is something called slow processing. So processing is the amount of time it takes a person to take information in, make sense of the information, and produce a response. So you can imagine that happens multiple times a day in conversations, in teachers calling on students, and both children with ADHD and dyslexia can have slower processing. Unfortunately, this is sometimes interpreted by teachers or people who don't know the person well as lack of intelligence, and it is anything but that. So what this might look like to a teacher is a teacher might ask a child a question, and if the teacher is patient and can sit and wait, then the child will eventually come up with an answer. But sometimes if the teacher interprets the silence as that the child didn't understand the question or didn't hear or wasn't paying attention, it could be interpreted as trouble focusing or, unfortunately, lack of intelligence. So a fourth feature that can be common to both dyslexic children and children with ADHD is trouble getting started on tasks, or sometimes just flat out avoiding tasks. So this can look like slow to get started on homework, or in the classroom when the teacher tells everyone to get to work, the child's just fiddling with their pencil or doodling. Or if they're trying to avoid their work when it's time to do math, maybe they raise their hand and ask to go to the bathroom or to visit the nurse. The fifth observation that may be taking place with teachers is a child might be becoming outright defiant or acting out in school. So this could look like a child who sort of tantrums or acts out or does something naughty when it's about time to get down to work. And maybe that child is trying to detract away from the work and knows that naughty behavior is a way to get the teacher's attention away from the fact that they're not doing the work. You know, more disruptive acting out may happen because the child knows that will get them sent out of the class, which would be another way to avoid having to face the work. And you as a parent may notice that at night, when it's time to do their nightly reading, there is also a nightly meltdown. So all of these are common things parents come to me with and say to me, "Doc, I'm worried my child has ADHD," because we're seeing these things. And their child very well might have ADHD. But it's also important to consider the possibility of dyslexia or other learning disability when you're seeing these kinds of behaviors. It's also important to note that ADHD and dyslexia commonly run together. So about 10 to 20% of dyslexic thinkers will also have ADHD, and up to 50% of children with ADHD will have some other type of learning disability. So what does this mean for an evaluation? If you go and get a full psychoeducational evaluation, either through the school or privately, it's pretty standard in psychoeducational evaluations to look for both ADHD and dyslexia. But if you're like many parents who come to me, you go to your pediatrician, and a diagnosis of ADHD is made, just keep in the back of your mind that you still need to be on learning disability watch. So you get a diagnosis of ADHD, perhaps your child is started on medications and a 504 plan is put into place at school to provide accommodations for ADHD, but you don't start to see the progress you would expect. Then it may be time to go back and look again and get a more complete psychoeducational evaluation to look for the learning disabilities. So I hope you can see that evaluating a struggling learner isn't always super straightforward. It can definitely be murky water at times. Now, hopefully you understand that if you're seeing some of these 5 observations in your child, that consideration should be given to the possibility of ADHD and dyslexia, or maybe even both. If you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends and any other parents you think might find it helpful. Be sure to click the thumbs up and subscribe and click that bell so you'll be notified of future videos. I'll see you next time. Stay strong, parents.